Whether you know it or not, you have a personal brand, and our profession is very presentational. There's an element of theater. People grow up watching movies and TV about the courtroom, and they have an expectation that any room they walk into where a lawyer is dealing with people outside their office, dealing with clients, dealing with courts, dealing with opposing counsel, there's an expectation that the lawyer is going to be the best dressed person in the room, even if that's a Zoom room.
Welcome back to the Lawyer Rumble. Today we're with Bobbi Sheahan. She is the Director of Motion Practice and Briefing at Angel Reyes Associates. Bobbi brings more than 25 years of experience in civil litigation, advocacy, motion practice, and legal writing. She's also a published legal author with work appearing in the Texas Bar Journal, FBI Law Enforcement Bulletin, and other legal publications. Today's conversation is going to be really focused on practical advice for Gen Z lawyers and legal professionals, especially the unwritten rules that don't always get taught in law school. We'll talk about dress code, courtroom etiquette, online professionalism, communication, mentorship, and how younger professionals can build credibility in their careers. Bobbi, I'm so glad you're here. How are you doing?
I'm ready to rumble. This is going to be fun.
Let's do it. Let's start with sharing a little bit about yourself and your legal career, and then what kind of shaped your perspective on professionalism in the legal field.
Thank you. I was the ripe old age of 23 when I started practicing law. I had gone through school kind of fast, and that might sound cool, but I don't know that we really need a 23-year-old handling our complex legal problems. But I did the best I could. I literally had braces on the first few years when I was in the courtroom. And I used to say that I was my own secret weapon because I looked like I was about half my age and I was already on the young side. But I've been doing this quite a long time. My first job was in a large downtown Dallas insurance defense and commercial litigation firm of over 100 lawyers. I was extremely well trained, but I wish that I could go back and coach that younger me on professional presence, confidence, enjoying the journey, and knowing your worth. I've had a lot of marvelous mentors along the way, but I also wish that I had learned to ask for mentoring much sooner.
So you recently spoke with our team about this topic, and I think it really stuck with us, especially some of my younger team members that are Gen Z and thinking about some of these things that they just weren't taught. So why do you think professionalism and unwritten rules are especially important for younger lawyers and legal professionals right now?
Well, let's think about our profession first. Nobody wants to need a lawyer, but when you need a lawyer, you need a lawyer. You need their expertise, their smarts, their experience. So the way we present ourselves to them should be reassuring,
Hmm.
really let them know that we're there to help them with what is often the most awful problem in their life at the time. We're being hired for our counsel. One of the titles of attorney is counselor. And we sometimes forget about that. But having a professional and confident presence really helps because it's the balance of confidence and competence, right? It's both of those things. And the clients really appreciate the reassurance because they're hiring our degrees, they're hiring our experience, our judgment, and they have expectations that are shaped by the media about what an attorney is supposed to look and act like. They may know that I go to the gym, but they don't expect to see me in my gym clothes, for example. They want to see that I tried. They want to see that I showed up for them wearing basically what they perceive as the attorney uniform, which nowadays ranges from business casual in the office to courtroom attire in court.
And do you think the pandemic changed the way that Gen Z younger professionals learn some of these norms, these networking, courtroom etiquette, like you just talked about, and communication?
I think the pandemic was incredibly impactful. And it's not the fault of people that they didn't have formative experiences, right? They just have to figure it out. So, whereas when I started practicing, there were attorneys in the office all the time, nothing was remote, and I got to observe them. A lot of today's young attorneys went to school partially online in their pajamas, started practicing partially online. And a lot of them, even rolling back further, didn't go to, say, proms, graduations, ceremonies where you dress and present yourself differently. A lot of families stopped going out to eat or going to church or going to concerts or sporting events or movies. And for years on end, people do that as part of their normal experience. So Gen X or millennials have this base of experience where, yeah, there's places you dress up more, or there's
Mm,
places it's okay or not okay, say to cuss. Those are unwritten rules. And I hope I speak for a lot of my colleagues when I say we're glad to explain, but I also don't ever want anybody to feel ill at ease or feel corrected. So I think it's a great thing for people to speak up and ask questions.
absolutely. So with these young lawyers, what would you want them just crave for them to understand about dress code, first impressions, office behavior, how to carry themselves in court? Like what specifics or advice would you just say, plead with them to take into account to look and have much more better professional presence?
Whether you know it or not, you have a personal brand, and our profession is very presentational. There's an element of theater. People grow up watching movies and TV about the courtroom, and they have an expectation that any room they walk into where a lawyer is dealing with people outside their office, dealing with clients, dealing with courts, dealing with opposing counsel, there's an expectation that the lawyer is going to be the best dressed person in the room, even if that's a Zoom room. And
Uh,
so when we are on, say, a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting, there's a lot of unwritten rules about Zoom etiquette and team etiquette. And I can't just pick on younger people on this. I think a lot of older people who weren't socialized
mm,
professionally with online meetings maybe don't know some of the unwritten rules. In my opinion, one of the unique unwritten rules about an online meeting is it's good to be early to any meeting. I think that makes a good impression, helps you not to be rushing. But when you're coming into an online meeting, that's being 1 or 2 minutes early because the Zoom room or the Teams meeting hasn't been opened up yet. If you're coming in person, it should be 5 to 10 minutes early that you're walking in that room. And then again, going back to the online meetings, the expectation at the beginning before the meeting starts is that people will be muted. And mostly, if you're not presenting or speaking, that you keep yourself muted. Use the raise hand, use the chat box, because it's
mhm.
real easy for people to miss the social cues or miss the timing and be talking over each other in a way that is more challenging than it is in person. And so you don't have to raise your hand physically. There's a hand raise button on Teams or Zoom that you use. That's helpful, but that's something you would never do in an in-person meeting, right? Unless you were in
Gotcha.
school. You'd raise your hand in school. But that would be an example. Another thing I think that people should just expect is things that are online, things that are on the internet, both at work and outside of work, are forever. Texts can
Mhm.
be screenshotted and preserved forever. When you're on a work computer or any kind of work channel, assume you have zero privacy.
When you spoke to my team, you talked about even some interviews that young professionals were taking. I think some attorneys were, interviewing for the firm and they were in very casual wear in a car. Is that
Yes.
right? You're seeing examples of just completely putting the wrong foot forward when trying to set.
Yeah. That would be, and it's the rules that apply in court are very similar to the rules of an interview. Most of the people in the courtroom are expected to wear a suit unless they have, say, a work uniform or some other attire that's appropriate for a particular reason. They're expected to be in a place that's quiet and relatively private. They're expected to give their full attention, not be driving. I've attended court hearings where witnesses were obviously sitting in their bed, not wearing a shirt. I have seen, and we've all seen the cute things online.
Yeah,
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 the judge didn't like that.
yeah. No, not
But
one bit.
we've all seen the cute things online where somebody's dog or somebody's kid pops in. It's okay.
Mhm,
We're all human, but we
mhm.
are supposed to make it clear that we tried, and the judges really demand it, and the clients deserve it. Our clients deserve for us to have our professional demeanor and face and presentation on. And so things that would be very normal in a casual conversation, dressing casually, wearing a baseball cap, just things that you would not think about being inappropriate in a private conversation, that wouldn't be appropriate in an interview, that wouldn't be appropriate in court. And I will say, when people are asking, well, what is the court uniform? Think about if you asked a child to draw a picture of a lawyer. They would probably draw a picture of a person in a dark suit. And there's been a lot of variation to that over the years. There's been a lot more room. For example, when I first started practicing, women weren't allowed to wear pants in court, period, even very tailored pantsuits. Now that is very normal. About half the women in court at any given time are wearing pantsuits. That in the past, there used to be written rules in federal court, but there were informal rules in state court that that was just not okay.
We've come a long ways.
Yeah, we've come a long way. You can still be yourself. Your clients are hiring you, to be their lawyer. And so your own personal brand, if you like a print, I'm wearing something today that's a print. If I were going to go in court with this dress on, I would put a jacket on over it. For a jury trial, for example, I'd probably wear solid colors, at least the first, until I'd bonded a little bit with the jury, till I
Mhm.
felt a bit like they had accepted me. But if you have to go to court in a particular county, it really depends on the judges and the lawyers and the norms there. Go in advance if you can and just observe people. In your office, you can observe people and see, like, read the room literally. Who is wearing things that really fit the role that they're in? That's what you want. Another thing I would say too is, especially for young professionals, it's expensive to build your professional wardrobe and you accumulate it over time. You can have a mix of expensive and nice things versus fast fashion and things you got very inexpensively and things you thrifted. And a rule I would give is, if you are getting less expensive things or if you are thrifting things, get them, err on the side of them being too big and use a tailor. Because instead of a $400 suit, you might buy a suit for $10 at the thrift store and spend $35 to $50 at a tailor and come out looking nicer than you would
Yeah.
in a $400 suit because it's tailored to you. So it's not, I think that may be daunting for people who, student loans are a reality in our profession. A lot of young people's lives and futures are shaped by the debt that we incurred to get this credential. A Juris Doctor is a very expensive degree. I was in my mid 30s before I paid off my student loans, and you're still expected to have a certain professional appearance, but you don't have to break the bank. It's also okay to repeat. It's also okay to have a few colors that are kind of your anchor colors. I think for me, I wear a lot of black and white. I wear a lot of blue, for example. I also wear a lot of pink, though. I think now more than before, it's okay to express yourself a bit more as long as you're following those basic rules of, in court, you should most likely wear a suit. In the office and from work from home, it's whatever's okay with the boss.
Yeah, and just to build on that, I've worn a Target suit, again, a suit from Target that was tailored, and I felt so confident because I felt I looked so good in it, and it didn't matter that it was a 25, $30 blazer. So I
Absolutely.
yeah, I know you can I love that advice.
Well, that confidence really carries you as well, right?
Mhm.
Knowing that you look good in it.
I'm curious what you think. This is a little side, but just top down as well at a firm where we have Spencer Brown, who's one of the most accomplished, incredible lawyers in the state of Texas. And
Yes.
thankfully, he works at our firm. And one thing he sets as just, a standard every day, he wears this immaculate suit. He
Yes, he
is
does.
professional at all times, all day, and he just sets a standard. I think could be is really important. And I'm not sure if during your years of experience you've seen that at other firms, but I think that could be really, really impactful too, because if the leadership at a firm is absolutely casual all the time, yeah, I think that could bleed into their habits as well.
Yes, and Spencer is a great example of professionalism in many ways. He is always impeccably dressed. He is
Sure.
always in a suit. He always looks great. And he's a good example of, you have a personal brand and you're always making an impression at work, whether you know it or not. And if you don't know it, ask people. Ask people you trust. If you had to describe me, what words would you use? How would you describe the way I present myself? One of the really cool things about working with Spencer is, any court you go into, and I've been in courts all over the state of Texas, when they hear what firm we come from, you hear from not just lawyers, but also judges. Oh, I love Spencer Brown. Oh, Spencer, he's great. He's such a good attorney. He's such a good man. That's a wonderful thing. That's what you want. And that reputation is built of a whole lot of things, but it is consistent also with the way that he presents himself. Now, you've got to have the competence to back it up, but of course, and he does, he's got the results to back it up.
Yep.
But I would say the same about Ryan Brown. I'd say the same about Alex Ivanov. When I picture them, I always picture them wearing a suit, even around the office
Mhm. Yeah,
and
for sure.
looking very sharp. Absolutely. And that is one of the things that I wish somebody had told me much younger is we work very hard. Litigation is combat.
Mm.
My husband likes to say we are gladiators without the blood. And it's really true, but you've got to take good care of yourself and pace yourself so you can have a long career and a good life. You want a long, productive career and life, and it goes fast. And so things like getting enough sleep,
This is
things like making sure you're exercising, drinking enough water. You can get away with substituting caffeine for sleep for a time, especially when you're younger, but it eventually catches up with you. And eventually, I learned sleep is a superpower. I wish I had known that way earlier, that just getting enough sleep makes everything go smoother and better. And it's a gift you give yourself.
we could do a whole podcast on that, but I'm gonna switch to communication because when you spoke again with our team, you had some really great examples of what to do, what not to do, especially with interpersonal and interdepartment and talking to your manager or talking to other, teammates and professionals. And you have a rich background in writing, motion practice, briefing, so many skills in communication. What communication habits do you think could help lawyers build credibility and respect really quickly in the office and, outside the office?
Always keep your word, under promise and over deliver. That's a big one. Put things where they belong. And what I mean by that is if you're communicating by text, you can be quite informal. You can use a lot of abbreviations, but things might need to be in emails or in the file so that everything is kept where it needs to be. And remember, your texts may be on the internet. Even Taylor Swift's group chat wasn't sacred. That got subpoenaed to court last year. So, really know that the internet is forever and that when you communicate, you should be precise. You should say what you mean and mean what you say. I like it when attorneys use real words and sound like real people. An example would be affidavits. Some attorneys still end an affidavit saying, further affiant saith not. I just say, further I say nothing. If we speak in plain English so that it's understandable, I think that makes us more credible, makes us more relatable, makes people understand. Now, having said that, there's a time and a place for formality. The courtroom would be an example. An interview would be an example.
Mm.
Use formal register when you're speaking with a judge or when you're speaking with professionals for the first time. It's much better to call you Mr. and have you say, no, no, call me Elliot,
Mm.
than it is for me to call you Elliot the first time I meet you and have you thinking, does she think she knows me? Are we friends like that? Because the professional connection is different. And it's nice to give people the opportunity to invite you to be more informal. And we're not stuffy in the office. I mean, we're fun. I enjoy the people I work with. I love the people I work with. This week, one of our paralegals baked banana bread for all of us just because
Aw.
she loves us and came around and told everybody, I just, no special occasion. I just made banana bread for everybody because I love you. And it was the sweetest thing. And those kinds of relationships really do occur and they're very real at work, but they happen organically. And I never presume that people feel that way. I kind of feel like when you're dealing with people at work, remember, they have to deal with you.
Mm.
Be polite, give them your attention. Don't have your face in your phone during meetings. Don't have your face in your phone during any kind of professional interaction where you're expected to give people your eyes. It's a gift to give people your attention and your focus. And I don't presume that I'm entitled to anybody's attention or focus. I ask for it. It's a courtesy because they're important. And I want every person that I interact with in a professional setting to feel like they're important to me.
Absolutely. It's such great advice. I love that you're in a role and serve a lot of our young lawyers here at the firm. I just think it's so interesting that we have people like you that are there to coach and mentor, and it's such an awesome resource because I've definitely been in organizations where there's no such Bobby. There's no Bobby the Gladiator anywhere in the organization I've worked at. So with that, how should young professionals ask for feedback, find mentors, and maybe handle constructive criticism without getting like super defensive?
Remember that nobody has it all figured out, first of all. So when you feel like you don't have it all figured out, you're not unique. But everybody really is flattered to be asked their opinion. You just have to make sure it's a good time, first of all. So that's why reaching out in writing might be a good thing, or sending them a meeting request, or just knocking on the door and saying, hey, when's a good time to talk, instead of just plunging into it. But remember, when you're asking somebody for their expertise, there's this thing called the Ben Franklin effect, where Ben Franklin famously turned a rival into a friend because he saw a book that the man owned and asked to
Mm,
borrow it. And then when he was returning the book, he asked the man some questions about it, and it flattered the person. People like to be asked questions about things they've read or things they know. Make it easy for the person that you're asking to be able to do the thing you're asking them to do. So come organized, come with a question. If you're speaking to, say, your manager, come with not just the problem, but a possible solution, and ask yourself, what am I doing that's making their job easier or making their job harder? And how can I adjust just a little bit to make it better for both of us?
and I think you'll get such rich, amazing answers if you approach it that way too.
Yeah, people really do like to be asked and answer. Those of us who are lawyers or people who have been paralegals for a long time, we have experience that, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. We really are glad to share it. That's another thing, too, that it's really important for young professionals to know. I see this with lawyers and doctors and other professionals. Those paralegals, and in the case of doctors, those nurses, they know so much more than you do when you're starting out. I
Mhm.
was raised by wonderful paralegals. I'm still friends with several of them, and they raised me from a pup, taught me
So
so much, and I'm eternally grateful. But that's something really important to know, is that in our system of justice and the way that law firms are structured and the way courts are structured, there are people all through the system who are very good at their jobs, and you can learn something from everybody. So when you walk into a courtroom, you walk in with the confidence of, yes, I worked hard to be a lawyer and this is my house. But it's also the judge's house, the bailiff's house, the court reporter's house. You respect them. Nobody respects a lawyer who is rude or dismissive to all of those court staff who know everything that you don't know and who have direct access to the judge. It's not just poor manners and rude to be bad to them, it's dumb, because they know so much more than you do about how things run and what's going to go on in the courtroom.
absolutely. All right, Bobby, one last question. I know you've got a lot on your plate, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So just very quickly, what 3 simple habits could Gen Z young legal professionals start practicing immediately to be a better professional?
I would say three takeaways, three simple habits are: number one, understand that you have a personal brand and decide who your influences are going to be. If you're looking to influencers instead of professionals who are successful, you might have role models and you might be getting advice that's lacking in substance.
Mm,
Second thing is, don't ever be afraid to admit you don't know something and just ask for help, ask for advice, ask sooner rather than later, and really listen. And the third thing I would say is, you're good at this. You worked hard. It takes a tremendous amount of perseverance and intelligence to get as far as you have. You're in the job you're in for a reason, and your clients need you to bring your best self to work and to take care of yourself for the long haul so you can really have a long and glorious career in this field. This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. You have to respect other people and respect yourself and keep your word. Absolutely. Because people will remember, reputation goes a long way in this field.
Bobby, this has been such a great conversation. I feel like there was more in this 25-ish minutes than you could get from 5 of those large, ridiculous self-help professional books. Like, you just got so much to give to others that I think it's so amazing, and I'm so glad you've been on this podcast today.
Thank you so much, Elliot. I could talk to you all day.
All right, one real fast. I'm a huge cinephile. What's your favorite legal movie?
My favorite legal movie, the first one that came to mind is Legally Blonde. I
No.
just there's so much about it that's so iconic, and I do love how girly Elle Woods is.
No, it's a stellar answer. That's the second time we've gotten it. So I'm wondering how many more are that favorite movie. So
It's so quotable as well. It's evergreen, it's held up really well.
don't they have like a new like show on Amazon or something? Like they're doing like a series of like her
No,
daughter or something?
I'm afraid to watch it because the movie was
That good?
just right.
Gotcha.
So, I
Gotcha.
don't know, but I do but that example actually of Elle Woods is great because, her character was very girly, wore a lot of pink, but when she was in court, she had tailored suits. They were pink, they were her, but there was still that courtroom uniform.
Before I let you go, there was one other question. Do you have some sort of book or something you're writing about these topics we've talked about today?
So yes, this will be my third book, and it's hopefully coming out next year. I've got to finish writing it. It's called Begin Again, and it draws from my experience coming back to the practice of law after stepping away to raise my family. And it draws from my experience coming back to work for Angel Reyes because when I was a younger attorney, I worked at this firm for a few years. So the young attorneys now that I work with, I've been in their shoes. I've had a docket just like what they have, and I understand what it's like to deal with clients and to try cases and give my all to help clients. I stepped away to raise my family for several years, and when I left, Angel kind of laughed at me and said, "Oh, you'll be good at that, but you love this. You'll be back." And he was right. But I think it's very relatable to a lot of people. We talked about the pandemic earlier. In so many ways, lots and lots of people in different contexts are reinventing themselves, are beginning again, are starting over. Because in life, you don't pick up where you left off, you just go.
Well, thank you again, Bobby. I can hear your teams and everything else pinging and all those young lawyers just tapping at your door trying to get more advice. So we'll let you go. And thank you again for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Elliot. This was fun.